Welcome to today's segment of our 7-day challenge. This week we're talking about self-care, and today I want to specifically talk about the things that we do for enjoyment or for recreation. I think that as life gets busier and busier, sometimes this is the part of our life that we cut out, and really it's not an option. It's so needed to have that enjoyment and that fun. Now this is both true for men and women. A lot of times men might get so focused on what they're accomplishing at work that they maybe spend most of their time there and they forget to have some personal life fun and enjoyment and some hobbies. But I do think that this is also specifically true for women. Recently, it seems as though it's almost a badge of honor to neglect ourselves and stay up all night making those Pinterest perfect cupcakes for your kid's birthday party or doing that DIY project for your house. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing any of these things as long as it's not at the expense of your health. And I think that it's almost, been this thing where you want to be a martyr to make sure that you're serving all of those people around you. But if you don't take the time to rejuvenate yourself, then you send yourself a message that maybe your needs are not as important as those of the people around you, or maybe you're not as valuable as the people around you, and this is completely the opposite. So I want to shift the transition in our mind. It's not selfish to do self-care. It's not lazy or any of those types of things. It's really important because how you show up as a wife, as a mother, as a friend, in your business or your work, and everything that you do is impacted by how you feel inside. So this week I really want to focus on that and making sure that we're doing things that create those dopamine levels. We've talked about dopamine before. It's a neurotransmitter and it's known for a lot of things, but it also is tied to improving your focus and your motivation because it triggers those feelings of pleasure and reward. So we really want to make sure that we're having enough of that in our life. So this week, what I want you to do is take out a page in your journal and just draw a line down the center of the page. And on one side, I want you to keep track of and just write down the things that stress you out and make you feel depleted. And then on the other side, write down the things that calm you or rejuvenate you, that you find enjoyable. And just by listing some of these things, we're going to create awareness so that you can take a more intentional focus on making sure that you've got a little bit more of that self-care. You're doing things that are fun, enjoying your hobbies. So, and even counteracting some of the things that stress you out. It doesn't mean that we can actually get rid of them all, but we can counteract them. So for example, I like doing mentor calls and I do a lot of them, but I notice that if I have too many, then I feel completely depleted by the end of the day. So I try to space those out and mix them in with some snacks or some things that rejuvenate me so that I can show up for the next call in a focused manner. I also know that if my schedule is too packed and I'm too busy, then I feel totally stressed and depleted. So I'm careful when I'm scheduling that I've got some free time. I actually try to take 2 days a week that I don't do any work. It's scheduled as my rejuvenation days, and I have 1 day a week where I try to be screen-free. It's usually Sundays where it's screen-free Sunday, so I can completely just detach and restart over my whole system to where I can be present and completely engaged with my family and my home. An argument with my spouse totally is on the stress side. So there's things that we try to implement each week, like date night and some activities where we write about each other, or I try to write things that I'm grateful for that my husband does. We try to regularly have dance parties with our kids in the living room, just things that really preemptively rejuvenate us so that we're appreciating each other and we don't have those arguments as often. A messy house is another thing that totally stresses me out. I really run on just processes, systems, organization. So with 4 kids and a new puppy and a husband, sometimes the house can get a little bit messy. So what I'll do in those situations is we make a list. We sit down and we write down everything that needs to be done in the house, and then our kids kind of have a draft. They take turns selecting which chore they're going to do, and then we follow that with when all of those things are done, we're going to do a fun family activity to wherever it is that we're going. And so this kind of resets that. Now, doing things for recreation or for enjoyment don't actually have to cost money, you guys. There's some really simple things that you can implement. I love just giving myself a facial. It makes me feel better about the way I look. It makes me feel like my skin is glowing. I love the Barrage kit by doTERRA. It has the cleanser, the moisturizer, a really fantastic toner, and anti-aging serum. And it makes me just feel like I'm showing up a better version of myself. I also really like following that up with the mud mask, which helps with the pores and cleansing my skin. Also, maybe just taking a bath with some Epsom salts and some oils. I do really like to either use a dry brush or a body scrub. doTERRA has a phenomenal one, but you can just grab some sugar or salt and mix in some essential oils, and that really just gets your circulation going in your skin. I also love taking a steam shower, and we have a steam shower, but if you don't have one, then just even closing the doors, closing off the bathroom, and putting a couple drops of oil at the bottom of the shower floor can be phenomenal. My favorites are eucalyptus because it helps open the airways and get more oxygen into your system. I also really like lavender for the calming effects from the lanolin. And those are just really easy ways to just kind of take away the stress, melt away the stress. Maybe taking a walk or a hike, doing meditation or affirmations. I know if I'm starting to go downhill in the way that I feel about myself, you can make your own affirmations, or you can Google anything. If you want to feel like a better mother, then you can Google affirmations for being a good mom. And it just really, sometimes we need to give ourselves that pep talk so that we can feel good and rejuvenate ourselves. I like to read either alone or with the kids. When I'm reading or doing affirmations, I try to have my diffuser on. I really like the Citrus Bliss blend that has some citrus oils as well as some vanilla and chamomile that really creates a very uplifting mood while I'm doing that. Family games can be a really great thing, and those are free. Playing in the yard, going maybe to a park, taking a nap is one of my favorite free ways to rejuvenate myself, and it could just be half an hour that you draw the blinds and lay down. Sometimes just even if there's too much chaos going on in the house with all the neighbor kids and all of our kids at home and the dog running around, I'll just go sit in the car where it's quiet, or maybe listen to some music. And then there's some things that I do as well that cost a little bit of money, like I have a one-on-one date with my kids. Sometimes those are free, and sometimes it's a more expensive activity where we're doing something together. I love going to the spa, whether it's a manicure, pedicure, facial, or massage is probably the number one thing I do. Chiropractic, maybe going out to eat with friends or as a date, going to the movies, going to a concert. I know that I'm definitely rejuvenated by the ocean and sand in my toes, so I schedule a trip to the beach about once a quarter just to make sure that I get that rejuvenation, and making time for hobbies. I like magic, so going to magic shows or comedy shows, any of the things that you enjoy, whether it's tennis. This year we're planning on getting ski passes so we can enjoy doing that. So whatever it is that you enjoy, make sure that you write it down on your list and look at your calendar each week and make sure that you have, one or two bigger things and then at least a couple small things each day so that you can show up in your life rejuvenated, full of excitement and enthusiasm for your day. So here is to a more caring world, starting with yourself.